All right, everyone. I just realized I hope it's recording to the right microphone. So I haven't looked at it. But if you guys have all been through my frictionless growth challenge, I hope, at least catching up on all the things that you missed. And I want to talk today about your path of least friction and why I think it's important. So I've been doing this for a very long time. I've talked to lots of successful, unsuccessful, um, authors and creators and business owners. And what I have learned is they all pretty much have the same challenge. I've worked with everyone from like tech companies to authors to buskers on the street corner, and they pretty much have the same problem, which is they keep running into blocks and have no idea how to break through them or even where to start to grow or monetize. So that's where kind of this path of least friction has come from. This is what the philosophy behind Capitalist is. So that is the membership that I offer as my founding member tier on Substack. The idea is that we invest in our personal happiness and our financial stability both at the same time. I got the idea from kind of public benefit corporations that they make money, but they can have other things that they also care about. So I like money, but I also want to be happy um, at the same time. And I have talked to a lot of people. Very few of them I've ever met can do both things, have done both things. So um, you guys might recognize this if you have been diligently going through the frictionless growth challenge, because I pretty much broke it up from this presentation and made the challenge from it. But I think it's nice to see it in one place before we split up. So um, the thing that I hear all of the time from people is they say, why is this so hard? And what they think they mean is, why can't this be easy? Which it's kind of kind of throws your brain for a loop, I think, because easy is something that we could do writing swings, but very few things related to writing or building a business are easy. So the answer to why can't this be easy is, well, you didn't have to start this business, silly. Like you could just go off and like sell widgets or like work at Home Depot. I don't know. Those things are probably markedly easier. Um, Ease is a measure of difficulty. Um, but what we really mean, I think, is why is there so much friction when I try to do this thing that I love? And so one of the things that we talked about in Capitalist is that easeful, not easy. So easeful work, in contrast to easy work, removes unnecessary struggle, aligns with your natural strength, and exponentially amplifies your effort. Notice it is still work. Like if you are on a frictionless surface pushing a huge boulder, you still have to push that boulder. But it is work that doesn't come with undue additional effort. And so what we try to do in Capitalist and with this path of least friction is line up all of these elements that will give you direction, show you where to move forward, and how to notice all of these things within yourself. That said, this is incredibly hard, even for people in Hapless. I think anyone in Hapless would also say they have problems with this, even though I'm telling them twice a month in our sessions, and like Russell Mott is telling them, like it is work, but it's the right work that pushes us forward in the right direction. It's not the difficulty that's the problem. It's the friction that's the problem. And what ends up happening is we're stuck. And when and we keep going more and more and more effort, and it just digs us in deep. So I basically just said this thing on the previous slide, but um, uh, the idea is, how do you create the most meaningful progress without eliminating pushing forward or doing any effort? So I like to think of this like a Jenga tower. If you've ever played Jenga, you're like kind of tapping around at the beginning and everything kind of feels, some of them feel pretty good, but they don't all, some of them feel stuck, but then you find that one and you barely touch it and it slides out. Again, your your effort is pushing out that Jenga piece, but it's doing it with almost no effort. And that's what I mean when I say frictionless growth, and that's what we mean when we say frictionless growth hasn't. So this goes to the fact that there are generally three types of growth. I mean, there are three types of growth. Um, the one we're looking for is exponential growth. So if you look at this curve, that is, I put in 1 unit of energy and I get 2 units of growth back. And I know I said this in one of the emails, but energy this is kind of a thought exercise. So I like to think of energy like energon cubes, like from Transformers, those pink cubes. But you can think of it like anything. Some people, I know Lee, the co-host for my of our podcast, says money is energy. So you can think about money. You can think about time. You can think about distance. There's all sorts of things that like can be energy. But what ends up happening with energy is you give one type of energy and you usually get back a different type of energy. So you might give money and get time, or get force or something back. So the idea is you put in 2 units of energy or more. Sorry, you put in 1 unit of energy and get two or more back. That's exponential growth. Very hard to get exponential growth, even if you've been working in business and doing this for a long time. Exponential is very hard. Most growth that we're dealing with is arithmetic. It's which is this middle line right here. It's you put in 1 unit of effort and you get, so you put in 1 unit of energy and you get 1 unit back, or right around 1 unit back. Often, if you do that enough, you get a lot of success. So if you can get something like 1.5 or more X back on your ad spend, you're going to put so much money in there. But often we don't have the ability to give enough energy to make arithmetic growth anything but a slog. But most people are doing things that they are getting logarithmic growth for, and this is the one we have to stop doing most if we want frictionless growth, which is I put in 1 unit of energy and less than 1 unit of growth. So a lot of people, if you're a desert or an arbiter, not you, but most other people would say this about social media. Maybe not grasslands or spotlighters, but you spend all day on social media and get 0 or 1 or a couple of followers every time. That is logarithmic growth. You're putting in a lot of effort and getting almost nothing back. So the whole thing of the path of least friction is, what is the exponential growth? So if you've taken the frictionless growth challenge, you'll recognize these. There are generally 5 paths towards frictionless growth. While they are not mutually exclusive, generally someone will get the most from one of these. Spotlighting, which is thought leadership, guest posting, basically borrowing other people's audiences. Collaboration, which is working in partnership, creating something new. This is where I really have my zone of genius. Arbitrage, which is virality, social media. You can see what the new trends are and jump on them really fast. Launches, which are like Kickstarter, big spectacle moments, virtual conferences. I'm very good at this, but not nearly as good as I am at collaborations. And then evangelist, which is ambassador marketing, which someone had told me is like growth by contagion, which I think is great, which is like people are just going to keep amplifying and talking eventually. Um, at least one of those will give you some amount of frictionless growth, which means at least arithmetic growth, at least 1.00000001 or more frictionless growth. Um, um, and you can succeed with any of that. But the contention that I make with this entire program is if you have a finite amount of energy, like I assume most of you do, then if you spend it, you should invest all of it into the most exponential growth, or at the very least, understand that you are not maximizing it. Now, here's the thing. We believe, and we've been taught, that joy follows success. But in almost every case, it's the opposite. Success follows joy. In fact, my contention is that if you have success and aren't and not doing something that you find joyful, then it's not really success because you're doing something that you don't like. Um, but in general, the things that you love and the things that bring you joy are also the thing that works. But our Puritan work ethic says, well, that's easy, so I can't do that. That's not work. What's work is all the other stuff. My favorite thing to do, and you can do this in your session if you want, but everyone here will know the secret, which is if you ask someone to explain what marketing is, they will explain the other four of these. And then when you say, what is fun for you? They'll say what the fifth one is, and they're like, oh, I love like checking out social media and like going viral, or like I love working in collaboration with someone. And so everyone hates marketing, but everyone also loves marketing. They just consider different things marketing, which is why we can never come to agreement on these things. Um, so the idea is not that you can do anything. People often say, why is this not just like blowing smoke? And the idea, or like propping you up. The idea is not whatever you want to do will get you growth. If you love making soup, that's not going to help you fix a flat tire. This is not. I'm sorry. The idea is that there's something inside of you that you already love that can lead to this frictionless growth. And it ends up being a little bit like this Anton Ego's line. Not everything inside of you can lead to frictionless growth, but frictionless growth could come from any. Here's a quick example, because then people say, well, what if I have multiple things? Well, you can see this is a thought exercise. This is not actually how my business works, but you can see that this virality is very low. This is actually logarithmic growth. Here you might have arithmetic growth or a little bit better. Then you are getting exponential growth in these three categories. But even within this category, this one path, evangelism, is bringing double the exponential growth than anything else. So I would say to this person, you definitely should not be doing virality. Probably shouldn't be doing thought leadership. You might need to do a launch to get some money. You may need to think about your partnerships, but where you should be spending the most time, if not all of your time, is in this section. The idea here is that you should focus the most of your attention on the thing that's going to give you the most growth. And then once you get to the point that you want to get to, you can use all of this extra energy to reinvest in these other areas. So it's not like you're giving them forever. What you're doing is you're using this one thing where you get the most leverage to create excess leverage or to create time affluence. And then you're reinvesting that time affluence into these other sections to get time rich. Now, you cannot do that. Like you can say, Russell, I understand that evangelism is my number one thing, but I am going to do a bunch of launches. And I would say, great. But when you come back to me in 6 months and say, Russell, the launches aren't going as well as I thought, I will say, obviously they're not, Guy. Obviously, like we already, you know where you can get the most growth and you're not doing it. So I just want you to go in eyes open. This is a thought experiment. I don't actually time on it. Doing an Eisenhower matrix is a great way to kind of see where your path are, but like this is a squishy subject. Okay, so now we know hopefully what your path is. Then there are 5 stages of growth. We talked about this, I believe, on day 3. Um, Stage 1, you're not doing anything. Stage 2, you're doing some things, but none of them are working well. Stage 3, you found one thing. So you found your path, but you're being weighed down by all this other stuff. Stage 4, you pretty much have your path figured out. You have your stuff streamlined, but you're capped at what you can earn. And then stage 5, you're expanding and thriving. Each of these has something you can do to get at it. So if you're in stage 1, just do anything. I don't care what it is. I mean, legally, I care, but I don't care what it is. You can do anything as long as you're doing something. You are suddenly not in stage 1 anymore. Stage 2 is if you're in stage 2, then test the things until you find a thing that works. Test more things. A couple of people I talked to this about during the challenge, but they're like, well, what if I don't know what to do? I'm like, great. Then your first task should be test a bunch of stuff. One of them will work, and then you can double down on that. And if that doesn't work, then like you can try again, or if it does, we'll keep going. If you're in stage 3, you want to trim. If you're in stage 4, you want to expand into other paths. In stage 5, you're probably building a team. So depending on building a team, there's a article on frictionless growth all about how to build a team using these scale paths and ecosystems. Okay, now ecosystems. People often have told me in the past couple of days, why would you make something more complicated by adding ecosystems? And the truth is that I started with ecosystems with my ex-business partner, and it didn't quite work the way that I thought, or either of us really thought. So I was like, well, I'm going to replace ecosystems with scale. People did not like that. They didn't like that at all. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, well, like what is really this thing? And we had seen these blended ecosystems, and we had seen these people that seemed to be like 2 or 3 things. And I was like, well, this makes sense because really scale paths are about growth, which is one ecosystem. And the ecosystem is a different thing. So people are operating in a specific way, like Linux or Apple or Windows or whatever the operating system you use on your computer. Um, the ecosystem's how you operate, but then they're scaling, doing a different way. They're growing. So they might be forests, a lot of forests. I'm sorry, forests. I may pick on you a little bit right here, but like of all the ecosystems, the one that has the least consistency between scale path and ecosystem are forests. Forests are chaos. Aquatics also chaos, but usually aquatics and collaborators go really close together. But what I found is forests, you have all sorts of chaotic growth. The other ones, arbiters, desert, a lot of overlap. Spotlighters, grasslands, a lot of overlap. Tundras launches, a lot of overlap. Maybe some collaborators in there. Aquatics and collaborators, a lot of, but there seems to be no correlation between forests and evangelism necessarily. They are more evangelist than other ones, but the most chaos as forests. So congratulations, forests, you win. Um, the idea is that ecosystems are how you run your business. So, um, deserts would be really fast, technical, ruthless. They keep things lean, kind of like lean, that lean startup, Eric Ries's methodology, where like they can make changes really fast. They don't tend to settle anywhere. Grasslands, the opposite, deep, strategic, long term. Tundras, they're like fashion designers. They like they do one of these things. They're explosive, then dormant. Forests, they're really about shared language, emotional connection. Like they're really deeply, they want people to feel seen and be able to feel seen together. Aquatics are very system oriented. They're trying to build the best thing, but like they're taking these threads from all of these areas and pulling them together, and their stuff doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which is why they need collaborations in order to get people to validate. But that's not necessary. Like they could have evangelists, they could have other things. So there's alignment. As you can see, ecosystems have scale paths and vice versa. But um, there is not only not a ton of overlap, necessarily a ton of overlap, but your scale path tends to change, but mostly your operating system stays the same and you keep it forever. If you think about like, well, you might go from Photoshop or or um, PowerPoint to like whatever Microsoft's system is, Pages, or you might use Google, but like you're not changing Microsoft. I know I just said Microsoft to Apple, but like that doesn't make any sense. Maybe you're using Word and then you go to whatever the Google Docs version of it is, but like you're probably not leaving the ecosystem completely. Once you start using iPhones, you probably are locked into iPhones mostly for life. But your scale paths can change all the time. So that's why that's why I use operating system for the ecosystem. Okay, so there's blended ecosystems too. I'm not really gonna. There's an article on this on place on frictionlessgrowth.com. So your scale path, your evolution track, your base ecosystem. Those are the three bits that really are going to determine um, uh, how you grow. But that doesn't really change talk about how you get over blocks or how you recognize blocks. So we talked about this on day 5, growth to monetization parallel. People have brought up what about like if I'm a nerd, I'm just writing, I don't care about either of these things. Again, this is a thought experiment more than it is a truism of the universe, but I will say that most people are trying to grow and monetize at the same time, but they how you do each directly contradicts each other. So you can see this growth over time on my Substack. All of these dips all of these dips came from monetization activities. All of the times that I had like bad growth areas almost always came from monetization activities, because in order to grow, you need to reduce friction and generally be um, more available. You could see that I was everywhere in the past couple of weeks, but like the monetization side generally means paywalls, premium pricing, exclusive access. If you're on Substack or something, wondering how like to do like a sales event or something like this, like I think this is really powerful. Try to keep all the things growth when you grow, when you're not where you want to be growth wise, and then think about monetizing in these like very short events, Kickstarters or other. If you have questions about any of this, put this in the chat also. Okay, so we're nearing the end. I promise. I'm going to go faster, even faster than I was before. But author business challenges generally show up in 4 buckets: heart challenges or the project challenges, which is things intrinsic to the project itself that you need to fix the project in some way to fix. Audience challenges come from the people who are going to buy, read, consume, evangelize for that product. Prioritization challenges are about you not choosing poorly, failing to choose, doing too much, not picking your one high leverage activity. Income challenges are about money. Now, there is some overlap between this, but the reason why it's important to know which one you are is because the solutions are going to change drastically depending on the bucket that you are looking at. So we talked about audience. This is the only reason that I do the growth to monetization parallel is for this tiny section, which is um, if you think you have an audience challenge, but you really have an income challenge, you will drop the price and lower the cost, be more available, and it won't change your income at all. Similarly, if you have an audience challenge and you think you have an income challenge, you're going to raise the price, be more exclusive, and you're not going to fix your audience challenge because most of these are different, are like these are generally mutual exclusive problems and solutions. So what does this look like? Heart challenges. I don't know what to do next in the book. This book, I don't like this book. I hate the covers. Reviews suck. I hate everything about how this looks or feels. My reviews are bad. Now, the reviews are bad could be an audience challenge as well because you got the wrong audience. But I'm saying you need to the fix for my reviews suck is generally, unless you have the wrong audience, I need to fix the product. I don't like this project. Change projects. I hate the cover of this book. You need to switch books. Intrinsic to the book, change itself. Meanwhile, if everything about the book is okay, then you probably have an audience challenge. I don't have enough people reading this book. I need more people before I can hit my sales goals. Built the wrong audience. Where are the readers? Why aren't they engaging? Generally, audience challenges. Prioritization challenges. I'm trying everything, getting nowhere. I'm overwhelmed. I'm doing everything right. It's not working. I don't know what to pick. I feel like I'm doing 1,000 things and none of them are working. Income challenges. So different from audience challenges. You have an audience, but not enough percent of them are converting to sales. They're not buying fast enough. The sales page doesn't resonate with people. The automation sequence isn't converting fast enough. These are all challenges when you have an audience, but um, you have an audience, but they're not buying. Now, you may have made the wrong audience, which is why this gets so tricky for people. But the idea of the happy compass is once you align all four of these sections, we call them cardinal directions. Once you have the alignment here and you have your path of least friction, now you're growing and you're overcoming all of the blocks and obstacles. Does that make sense? Um, so that's basically what I just said. We do this in Happilist. This is my only slide about Happilist. We do this from 3 prongs. You have bi-monthly, that's twice monthly calls to talk with other people and make sure you're on the right track. You have the digital brain that I've given you all access to. And then you have a collection of world-class resources, including all of the books I mentioned, all of my other things to help you. My philosophy is I don't really care if you join, but I do care that if you join, you stay for the next 3 to 5 years to build the operating system for your whole business. That's my more pressing concern, which is why the price is seen. Okay, so everyone comes with locks and keys. It might be one of those blocks we said, or it might be a mindset block, an embodiment block. That's your block. That's your lock. But what we don't realize enough is that we also come with keys, which is where the breakthrough session comes in. You have hundreds of keys. You may think you have one key, but you got to today in your life. So you must have, in order to do that, you've picked hundreds, maybe thousands of locks. You've used all of these keys and you just don't use them. And so what the breakthrough sessions allow you to do is take those keys and help other people pick the locks. I call this distributed responsibility, which is everyone is responsible from picking everyone up, from finding the key to open other people's locks. The thing you know about your keys is they don't open your lock, but somebody else is going to have your key to open your lock, and you're going to be able to open somebody else's, which is why we do the breakthrough session. That's the philosophy behind breakthrough sessions. If you're in stage 1 to 3 above what we talked about, your lock will probably be open with someone on your own success path, but further along. If you're a 2, maybe it's a 3. If you're a 3, it may be a 5. But generally, it's going to come from your own path of least friction. If you're in stage 4 or 5, it's probably going to be unlocked by somebody in a different ecosystem. So again, this is where to know all of those pieces really helps if you do a session like this, because um, it tells you, oh, I'm a stage 4. I'm looking for somebody that's not a forest and not an evangelist to like pick to help me get to the next level or get further along. If you're a stage 2 and you know that you're a collaborator, then somebody ahead of you is probably going to and to pick that to help you open that lock. Um, and this is really important, breakthrough sections, because you're only one human. You've lived one lived experience, consumed one person's media, and you have one person's brain. This allows you to have a group brain. Hey, okay, so now I'm going to